our story time. You know, we're reading Adventures of the Wishing Chair by Enid Blyton, and we're up to chapter 23. Put on your glasses, Grandma. It's getting very exciting. They have to rescue Chinky. He's stuck in the tower, and the children had their special pills to go little, but Chinky didn't have one, and so Peter's gone back to Dimple the elf, and she's given him another one. This one is called The Great Escape. Peter hurried from the Dimples' cottage, holding the pill in his hand that was to make Chinky as small as he was. Then they could all escape down the mouse hole. He ran down the hole and made his way to the cellar. He climbed up the steps to the kitchen. He peeked under the door. There was no one in the kitchen. He ran over the floor to the little room belonging to the cat. The big grey tabby was still in the basket, and Mollie was there too, hiding safely under the thick fur. Good. Chinky is still upstairs with the enchanter, she whispered. Just at that moment, there came footsteps down the stairs, and the enchanter came in. The cat jumped out of her basket and went to greet him, rubbing against Clip-Clap's legs and purring loudly. Mollie and Peter crouched down in the basket and tried to hide under the cushion. But alas, the enchanter saw them. "Aha!" he said. I thought I sniffed children, he said. He came over to the basket and looked down. How small you are! I did not know there were such small children to be found. What have you got in your hand, little boy? Oh dear. What Peter was holding so tightly was the little green and red pill that was to make Chinky small enough to go down the mouse hole. Peter put his hand behind his back and glared at the tall enchanter. But it was no use. He had to show Clip-Clap what he had. And no sooner did the enchanter see the little green and red pill than he guessed what it was for. "Oh!" he said. "So you made yourself small first, did you? And came in through a mouse hole, I guess? Thinking to make Chinky small too, so that he might escape the same way. Well, I'll spoil that. You shall grow big again, and you won't be able to creep down any mouse holes. You can stay here and help Chinky work for me." He tapped Mollie on the head, and then Peter. They shot up to their own size again and stared at Clip-Clap in alarm and dismay. What a horrid ending to their plans. They had thought themselves so clever too. Well, said Clip-Clap, looking at them. You won't escape in a hurry now, I promise you. No one knows the secret of making the door come in this tower but me. Chinky, come and see your fine friends now. Chinky came running down the stairs and stopped in the greatest dismay when he saw Peter and Mollie were both the right size, standing in front of the enchanter. "So you all had laid fine plans for escape, had you?" said Clip-Clap. Well, now you can just settle down to working hard for me and using those good brains of yours for my spells. Go and help Chinky to polish my bedroom floor. And after that, you can clean all the silver wands I use in my magic. The three went upstairs, very sadly and in silence. Chinky handed each child a large yellow duster, and all three went down on their hands and knees and began to polish the wooden floor. "Don't say a word till we hear Clip-Clap go out again," whispered Chinky. "He has ears as sharp as a hare's." So nobody said a word until they heard that clip-clap crashing noise. And knew that the enchanter had gone out again. Then they stood up and looked at one another. "What are we to do now?" groaned Peter. "Listen," said Chinky quickly. "I have a plan. Where's the wishing chair?" "Under a bramble bush outside the tower," said Peter. "But what's the good of that? We can't get out to it, and the chair certainly can't get in." "I'm not so sure of that," said Chinky. "You know that mouse you told me about, Dimple's servant? Well, if you could speak to her, Peter, and tell her to go to Dimple and tell her what's happened, she might be able to make the wishing chair small enough for Harriet to get it down the mouse hole and into the cellar. I know a spell to make it the right size, and then when Clip-Clap does his disappearing act and goes through the tower door, we'll fly out too. See?" "Oh, Chinky, you are clever," cried Mollie in delight. "Peter, go down to the cellar and call Harriet. She may be somewhere about. If not, her auntie will surely be there." So Peter hurried down to the cellar and called Harriet. She wasn't there, but her auntie came, the brown mouse with spectacles on. Peter told her all that had happened and begged her to go and tell Dimple the elf. She hurried off at once, and Peter waited anxiously to see what would happen next. But Clip-Clap came back before anything else had happened. He set the three to work polishing his magic wands, but he took the magic out of them first. He wasn't going to have Chinky doing any magic with them. Not he. After tea, Clip-Clap went out again. Peter hurried down to the cellar, and to his great delight, he found Harriet there. And just inside the mouse hole, she had their wishing chair. It was as small as a doll's house chair.
"My auntie told me all that had happened,"
whispered Harriet.
"I told Dimple, my mistress, and we found the wishing chair. Dimple made it small enough for me to take down to the mouse hole. So here it is. Good luck."
She pushed the tiny wishing chair out of the hole. Peter picked it up gladly and ran up the cellar steps with it. How glad Peter and Mollie were to see it. "Now," said Chinky, "I must make it big again." He felt in his pockets and he took out a duster coloured yellow and green. It had a queer smelling polish in the middle in a great smear. Chinky began to polish the chair as hard as he could. As he polished, it grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and the children watched in amazement. At last it was its usual size. "Where should we hide it?" asked Mollie. "I say, don't let's hide it anywhere," said Peter suddenly. "What about us all getting into the chair and waiting till Clip-Clap comes back? Then as soon as he opens the door to come in, we'll yell to the chair to fly out, and off we'll go. The enchanter won't know what's happening till it's too late to stop us." "Oh, that's a splendid idea," said Chinky at once. "We'll do it. Come on, get in, you two. The enchanter may be here at any moment. We must be ready." "The good old wishing chair has its wings," said Mollie thankfully. "Wouldn't it be awful if they went and we couldn't fly away?" "Don't say things like that in front of the chair," said Peter. "You know how silly it can be sometimes. Have you forgotten the time it landed us in the chimney?" "Shh," said Chinky. "I can hear Clip-Clap coming." Crash! The tower split in two, and a great door appeared in a slit. It opened, and in strode Clip-Clap, calling Chinky, "Hi, Chinky! 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 Home, wishing chair! Home!" yelled Chinky. "Hello, Clip-Clap! Here I am!" The chair rose up into the air and flew past the left ear of the astonished enchanter and shot out of the door before Clip-Clap could shut it. They were safely out in the wood again. "There's Dimple and Harriet below, waving like mad," said Peter. "Wave back, you two." They all waved to Dimple and Harriet and called goodbye. "We'll send them a postcard when we get back," said Chinky. "They were very good to help us." "Won't Clip-Clap be angry to think we've escaped after all?" said Mollie. "I say, oughtn't you go and tell your mother you are safe?" said Peter. "She was very worried about you." "I'll go tonight when you're both in bed," said Chinky. "I'll take you home safely first. My, what adventures we've had since this morning." "I'm not going to quarrel ever again," said Mollie, as the chair flew in the playroom door. She jumped off and flung her arms around Chinky. "It was horrid when you didn't come back. I didn't mean what I said. You'll always be our friend, won't you, Chinky?" "Of course," said Chinky, grinning all over his cheeky pixie face. "I would have come back the next day. I was just in a bad temper. We all were." "I'm sorry about it too," said Peter. "Anyway, we're all together again, friends as much as before." "You'd better run in and show your mother you're all right," said Chinky. "Mothers are such worriers, you know. You've not been to tea, so yours will wonder if you're all right. Goodbye, and thanks so much for rescuing me." Peter and Mollie ran off happily. Thank goodness, everything was all right again. Good old wishing chair. What would they do without it? That's the end of that chapter. We're getting near the end, but there's still a few more. I didn't think that they would be big when they flew out. I thought they were going to get out when they were little. This book is full of adventures and we never know what's going to happen next. Come back and we'll find out their next adventure. Bye-bye.